Welcome to Words from My Face. That was once in a lifetime. That was one of the greatest round ones of all time, of all sports, ever.
I think, though, Beverly Hills Cop RoboCop crossover needs to happen.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Words from My Face. My name is Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brennan.
You?
And we are the one and only home of the Chewbacca chainsaws. And you really need to get rid of that echo for me. I didn't give you a second afterwards. We just are practicing.
I blame you.
We're practicing with a new way of doing the intro, so yeah, I don't know if that was better or worse. We're going to work on it, so let us know in the comments down below. You can also hit us up at Words from My Face on Twitter, wordsfrommyface.com, wordsfrommyface@gmail.com, plenty of places to let us know. Google+, But
yeah, we're all over the place.
Exactly. We say this every week. You can't throw a stone at the internet and not hit us, so we're there. We're there. But tonight we got another sports show coming at you. Of course, this is Thursday night, so that's what we do every Thursday night. And right now, as we speak, we have the NBA Finals going on. Of course, we're going to talk about that. The UCF coach, George O'Leary, has said that the Big Five conferences are pretty much playing the South in the Civil War right now. So we'll talk about what's going on there. Vernon Davis is selling stocks in himself. And there's another story. Yeah, we have more. More stories than just 3 this week. We have the U.S. World Cup preview. You're excited about the World Cup,
aren't you? That's a lot of stories. In fact, I think we've been doing this a lot lately, and I thought we agreed we were only going to do 3. Yeah. These 4 end up going for quite some time.
Yeah, but I like having a mixture of stories, you know? I like to spice it up every now and then. The World Cup preview is going to be short because I don't watch soccer. Soccer, who watches it? Only half the world. Actually, more than half the world. But,
it's only the most popular sport in the world right now.
Only the most popular sport in the world. That's it. I mean, listen, if you lived outside of America, maybe it'd be that popular. But here in America, not so much. But I think we should start it off this week the way we started off every sports night, and that is with the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award. And Brendan's angry face. You have to have the angry face to bring us in, don't you?
I do. I mean, it's the Chewbacca Chainsaw Award. How are you supposed to react to that?
With an angry face, just the way you do it. But this week is a little bit of a switch up on the award, and this is actually going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award I'm going to award it posthumously to Don Zimmer. Now, you might not know who Don Zimmer is, and I don't know why, because he's only been in baseball forever. Most people remember him from the infamous fight where Pedro Martinez threw him to the ground. And if that's all you know about him, that's sad to say, because this guy, he actually played with Jackie Robinson, won a title with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1955. So that's how long he was playing for. He's won 6 World Series as a player / and as coach. He's been to the postseason 19 times. He played for the Dodgers, the Mets, the Cubs, Cincinnati Reds, and the Washington Senators back in the day. He's also managed the San Diego Padres, Boston, Texas, and the Cubs, and he was an assistant on the Yankees and most recently with Tampa Bay, and so you will be missed in the baseball community.
Yeah, is there any team he didn't touch at some point?
No, pretty much every team. So that's why, if you didn't know him in baseball, he had a 66-year career in baseball, so not many people can say that. Not even most of those broadcasters out there, so, you get the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week Lifetime Achievement Award.
Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week Lifetime Achievement Award?
Well, it's the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award, so of the Week
All right.
Lifetime Achievement Award.
We might need to work this out some other time.
We might. I don't give out many of these Lifetime Achievement Awards. But you get one,
Hey,
Don.
if anyone has a suggestion of what we should call these Lifetime Achievement Awards, like how the timeline should really work out, comment below.
I like of the Week Lifetime Achievement Award. I still like that one. It just sounds
Of
good.
the Lifetime Week Award.
Of the Lifetime Week Award. There you go. But so, yeah, that's to you, Don Zimmer. But let's start it off with some...
I'll give him his chainsaw.
Oh, yeah, give him his chainsaw. I'm sorry. Yes.
That'd be like going to the Oscars, and they're like, "Oh, the award goes to whoever." Then the guy walks off with it.
You cannot have your award. I will take it from you.
My award. Ha ha ha.
Well, we know if Chewbacca was up there, he wouldn't stand for that. Someone would be losing an arm if that happened to Chewbacca.
Yeah, you can't really keep him at bay.
No, you can't. But let's talk about a team that would actually probably really benefit from having Chewbacca on there. And this is a quote from their coach. Yeah, every team could. Yeah, I mean every team could. But this is a quote from their coach. The U.S. will not win the cup unless they play the best games of their life for the entire tournament.
Isn't that most teams though? This is the World Cup we're talking about, right?
No,
big deal.
The best game of their lives for the entire career. I mean, match. I mean, Argentina, teams like Brazil, England. I'm missing a bunch. Spain is number one this year, I believe. Germany. Those teams don't have to play the best games of their life. They just have to play good games of their life throughout the tournament.
Apparently.
And when your coach is telling you that you have to play the best game of your life for 7 games in a row, yeah, there's not really high hopes, I wouldn't say, going into this tournament for the U.S. men's.
I don't know. It could be, one of those kind of rallying cries. He's saying that for one that they can do it, and our coach is usually supposed to say, "Hey, let's go out there and play the best games we've ever done." Especially
but he started out the statement saying the U.S. cannot win the World Cup. So.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So Jurgen Klinsmann, yeah, that's a fearless leader right there. But we have some developments going on. Everybody in the world has heard about this, but Landon Donovan, probably the best men's player for the U.S., is not going to be making the trip. He's a little old. Klinsmann is kind of going more towards a youth movement, trying to get some of these players. Like there's this one German player. He's half German, half American, and he could either play for the German national team or the U.S. team, but he's only 18, so he would never make it onto the German team. But the U.S. is trying to get him for when he's like 25, 26, 27, and in the prime of his career, so they're throwing him on the roster instead of Donovan. So that's pretty interesting right there.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, actually. Essentially losing our best players because of age, trying to get in these other guys last minute. Yeah, I mean, I can see why the coach doesn't have the best confidence this year. Especially when you look at who you have to compete against. I mean, Brazil always comes big, and now they have home advantage. Even though things have been a little rocky in Brazil for the last really couple years now.
Yeah,
this is a big
Olympics
deal for
aren't
them.
happening there. But yeah, I mean, even though it's really not making a lot of the social unrest down in Brazil, and if you don't know about that, check out what a favela is, and see why people in Brazil aren't very happy that they're spending all this money on soccer rather than their own infrastructure. But that's another story for another day. Really, we're talking about the U.S. here. And, yeah, so the U.S. is in a group, and every World Cup, they always call one of these groups the group of death. It's where the draw just makes the teams in there, any one of those teams is likely to come out, and you have the U.S. is in the group of death this year with number 2 ranked Germany, number 4 ranked Portugal, number 37 ranked Ghana, which is not a huge ranking, but let's just remember, I believe that Ghana has knocked us out of the past 2 World Cups, so not good for us. I mean, we're going to be playing against the likes of Ronaldo, so it'll be fun for U.S. citizens to watch some of these games, but we will get killed in every single one of them. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, when was the last time we made it to the semifinals? Ever?
Semifinals, I don't know. Quarterfinals, 2 World Cups ago, I think. But semifinals, yeah, not so often. We're
Yeah. The
we're
last
we're
big the last big time I remember for us for soccer was actually was the women's cup. However long ago it was that we actually won. That was
yeah,
and that
women
was
are pretty beast.
yeah, that was
The
still some
women,
time ago though.
yeah, I believe that was 6 years ago. Last time the women won the World Cup. But the women always don't. They never disappoint. It's the men that. And now we can't really blame them that much. Number one, our pro league here is considered like even below minor leagues for most countries. Number two. All our best athletes go to other sports. I mean, think about Adrian Peterson. That guy would be phenomenal soccer player. If he grew up playing soccer and got that foot dexterity, he would just run over people on his way to the goal. I mean, there'd be nobody who could stop him. I mean, think about some of these athletes. LeBron James playing soccer. Who's going to mess with that buddy? Nobody. Because he's LeBron James.
You know what I think it is? See, the U.S. decided to take on exactly what soccer is called everywhere else. We decided to take on football. We just decided that wasn't the football that we were going to dominate in.
We're like, we're going to get football, but not the one you're all thinking of. That would be a good diversionary tactic. We are the best at football. What are you talking about? Come on, world. Huh?
It's true though. We are the best at football.
So hey, but yeah, and it's almost sad for the world that the U.S. isn't better at this sport, because think about all the money generated from all our other sports leagues. If soccer were to replace like maybe basketball or baseball, think about how more prestigious the whole world would think this is. But yeah, I'm not really down with these one to two, or whenever you can tie in a sport. There's a real problem here in the United States. Like hockey used to be able to tie, and they got rid of that. There's no ties. We don't believe in ties. It's like kissing your sister.
Well,
It just doesn't
to be
count.
fair, you can tie in football too. In
Well,
American
you
football,
can, but like
It
when does that's
happens
happened
like
once?
it happens like once every few years,
Once
or
every like decade.
whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, we're not a big fan of the ties. Like in basketball, you just keep going until someone wins. That's baseball, same thing. You just keep going until someone wins. Football should be keep going until someone wins, but what can you do? So yeah, I guess let's go U.S. soccer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Although
you know
to be
what?
fair, in American football, anytime there is a tie, everyone is pissed on all sides.
Sure.
So we don't accept it very well there.
Yeah.
Unlike it is accepted more in soccer. So
Yeah. So yeah, let's go U.S. soccer team. And next week I'll be giving you a couple matchups, since we're all ignorant soccer people here in the United States. And now, if you are really knowledgeable about soccer, don't be like, hey man, I know soccer. I'm from the U.S. 99% of the U.S. does not know soccer. So come on, give me a break. Come on. Come on.
maybe a little bit more now.
Right.
But if you do know
95% of the
soccer,
country.
hey, but still, if you do know soccer, let us know down below what you think, how big you think it is in the U.S. or whatever country you're listening from. Hey, if you're listening from somewhere else, let us know.
Yeah. And you know what? I will be next week throwing out some of the games that pique my interest, like a Germany-Portugal matchup. Happens to be in the group of death. That'll be really cool. Number 2 versus number 4. I believe England and Italy play sometime in there. So I'll give you a couple matchups to keep your eye on for the first round. But let's move it on to the next subject, and that is the NFL. And that is because Vernon Davis is going to be the first publicly traded NFL player.
Publicly traded in like a stock market situation.
Yes, he's going to be. You can buy shares of Vernon Davis right now.
I've heard of people. I've heard of one guy in the world doing this before, where he made himself publicly traded. He sold shares in himself to his like friends and his girlfriend, and there was like power struggles over that. It didn't end well.
It didn't go good. Well, yeah, when you're kind of buying a piece of somebody, as an entity, as a person, that is pretty interesting. But yeah, these stocks are being offered by Fantex, which actually tried to do this last year with Arian Foster, but he was injured last year, and so they kind of pulled that out before they went initial with their IPO out there. So Vernon Davis stock actually started trading yesterday at $10 and has already risen to 11. And he hasn't even stepped on the field yet. He's actually in the news right now for missing OTAs to promote himself with his new stock market thing. And it's not really the like NASDAQ or the Dow or anything like that. It's one of the lesser stock markets, but he is still going to be publicly traded, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, what do the shareholders get out of it? Do they get if they have enough shares, can they dictate his business decisions?
See, I'm not. That's where it doesn't is not too clear for me because that doesn't make any sense. If you were a person, why would you let random strangers have control of your life? Like, what if a billionaire wants to be like, I would buy up 51% of your life. You must do what I tell you. Like, that wouldn't work out
Well, I
too
mean,
well.
it already doesn't make sense that he's being publicly traded, so that might be what he's do. I would think that he at least as a player they should have some kind of control over his contracts and business deals and maybe his how much time he dedicates to, I don't know, autographs or other kinds of affiliations.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out. And Vernon Davis, I actually do like the guy. I saw him play when he was in high school. He's from the Washington, D.C. area. He played my high school once, and we were winning, I believe, by like 3 points or something like that with like a minute left. They were on like the 15-yard line. So, the quarterback threw a pass to Vernon Davis, and he ripped it 85 yards for a touchdown to win the game. So, yeah, he's a beast. What can I say? He's a beast. But that's that. What can I say, Vernon Davis? You like to have stocks traded of yourself? That's what you like to do, huh? Oh.
Yeah, maybe your stocks will rise. Maybe they'll fall.
You never know. I mean, what if he like stubs his toe and can't play in a game and do his stocks plummet? Huh?
Are the stocks based off his health though, or are they based? I guess they're based off confidence in his name. Maybe
his
maybe
brand, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe the royalties from the merchandise. I don't know.
But like, when do you know it's time to sell high on his stock? Like, if he catches 3 touchdowns in a game, is that like, okay, time for me to sell? He's at the highest point he's going to be. His shares are at $20 a share. I bought in at 15. Time to sell Vernon Davis.
No, are they sharing in his contracts, like the profits that he's personally making?
No, I believe that is going to be separate. I did see an interview with him where that question was brought up, and I believe that will be separate. It's just how well his brand name is, how prestigious it is. I mean, really, who knows what stocks are? Puh. They're like invisible pieces of paper magic.
They're random numbers around.
It's just like 52.4. Yeah, that's what they will be valued at. I mean.
And if you'd like to throw money around randomly on something, you can always hit us up at Words From My Face. We'll provide.
We will take random money. We will catch all the random money you would like to throw at us. But yeah, so that's a story. We have a lot of interesting stories today going on right now, because the next one is actually Dems Fighting Words, coming from George O'Leary, the UCF head coach, and they actually just made it to, I believe it was the Rose Bowl this year, and had a pretty good showing there, a 13-1 season. And he's come out and said that the way the Big Five, and when I say the Big Five are acting, I mean the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the Pac-12. Those are the major conferences in all sports, in football, basketball, all NCAA affiliated sports. Those are the Big Five. Recently, they've been asking for more autonomy inside their own group to change the rules. Particularly, they want to be able to compensate players a little bit higher than what they are currently getting due to the NCAA rules, because those rules are put into place.
Compensate players almost at all.
Almost at all, except for like tuition room board,
which is significant now. But
yeah, it is, and so these rules are set for all the schools, because there's about 115 in football, but like 312 in basketball and baseball. I'm sure there's plenty in softball, all those other sports. They kind of give them one big shell for rules. They have one set of rules that apply to all of them, and they say this promotes parity in the league, so that big teams don't have all of the advantages. But these big teams have actually just been granted their own autonomy to set their own rules. So what they're going to do is they're going to make it so more food for the kids, because there was a story last year, a University of Connecticut player said that he went to bed hungry because he wasn't provided enough food. So that was one thing. You also got to look at what's happened in Northwestern, where that school just unionized its sports programs. So these are kind of the Big Five getting ahead of the pass, saying, hey, we're just going to compensate you with everything that they're asking for now so that you don't ask for that later, so that you can't possibly ask for more as it goes on if you do become a union or something like that. So it's just kind of interesting to see, because you're about to see a shift in all college sports towards those big five conferences. If you are not a school in one of those big five conferences, you are not going to be able to compete with these guys, because why would a player who is thinking about, maybe Bowling Green or Ohio State, that was an example I heard, both in Ohio, why would you think about going to the smaller conference school when you can get so much more out of the larger conference school? I mean, just the benefits. They were also talking about, flying the kids home if you lived far from home once or twice a year, or flying a parent in to see them, because, just good things for the kids. So
didn't they have that on one of the? There was a recent show about recruiters for like college football that they were talking about that, like that was kind of a behind the scenes one of those promises, like, hey, if you miss home, we'll fly someone in anytime you need them, things like that. But so there's indications that kind of stuff was already going on anyway. But
yeah,
do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what show I'm talking about? Am I just crazy here?
I don't know what show you're talking about, but I do know what you're talking about. A lot of recruiters will say stuff like that, even though that's kind of against the rules. Yeah. Just like, hey, I might get your mom a really good, high-paying job if you come play for my alma mater, So it was always kind of on the outside of the rules.
Either way, personally, I don't like this. I don't like how they're doing this change-up. I think if they, across the board, allowed this kind of thing, that'd be one thing. But now they're saying just the biggest schools who already can offer more and who already are getting more, just them can do more. Like, you're creating essentially greater division between the top and the bottom, kind of widening that gap. Like you were saying, like it doesn't make sense except for if, which probably is the case, though those big schools were lobbying the hardest and had the most pull to get it, and decide, screw the little guys.
Which is pretty much what they're doing. I mean, you're exactly correct. It's that gap is widening. Everybody knows that you'll watch a college football game in September or even October, and you'll see like a 63-3 win, because that's when the big conference schools play the smaller conference schools. And now what are we going to see, like 103-2 win? Maybe not 2. That would mean they got a safety. Maybe the big conference schools will be required to give a 2-point advantage to the other team.
I highly doubt it, because they seem to set rules.
Yeah, well, they do set their own rules now, so it's going to be interesting to see. Now, they're saying that this isn't going to affect the playoff format that's already in place for this year coming up. It's not really going to affect
who can possibly get in.
Well, yeah, but it won't affect them this year, because the big conference schools already had an automatic bid to these things, so you're just going to see the littler teams get squeezed out. And I don't know. I mean, is there enough competition in the SEC and all those big ones? I mean, everybody already thinks of the SEC as the best conference anyway. Is it really that much different? Just maybe delegating these other schools to a little bit smaller standing and really showing the big schools for what they are?
I just don't understand why they don't make it across the board.
Just because it would be unfeasible for some of the smaller schools to expand some of these options. So.
Well, I understand that but if they as long as they're not required to do some of these things, I don't see why you would restrict them. Like, why you leave the restrictions on them. Like, I understand that they can't offer as much because they don't have as much money to give these big offers, but why would you prevent them? Like, why would you prevent them from possibly making it into a bigger situation by, maybe they decide to go more aggressively after whatever the sport may be, football, basketball, and put more money into that to at least try and get a little bit, maybe they just give the incentives to a few players this year or whatever it is. Why would you restrict that if you're allowing it for everyone else? Why would you restrict it?
I think the point we're at right now is not necessarily that they're still restricting the smaller conferences. It's just that they gave into the big conferences. They said the big conferences actually threatened to leave, like I said, the Civil War, and create a Division IV football for college. So I think they were just trying to keep those guys from leaving the entity as a whole, and they haven't
Okay.
really thought about the ramifications with the smaller market teams.
Okay. What I thought the story was, for some reason, was that it was that this was they pushed to get their way, and that it was just the Big Five could set it for just themselves.
Yeah, yeah. The Big Five pushed to get their way so that they could set whatever they want for themselves.
For themselves, but does it apply to everyone else, or does
Oh,
it
well, see
just
again.
apply to them?
That just applies to them now. They are autonomous, but that
But
doesn't
that
mean
means
that
that
the
the old
NCAA.
restrictions are still on everyone else. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
but that doesn't mean the NCAA won't lax them in the days to come. So
Yeah, but
we're
they
still waiting
haven't
to see.
yet.
The story's brand new,
We'll see.
so yeah. And that's not all the troubles that the NCAA is facing. Look at the O'Bannon case. That's not going well for the NCAA. But let's move it on to a sport that is in its prime right now, and you know what I'm talking about. That is the NBA Finals are happening right now. And wait, I'm going to give you a quick update. Right now, it is 49-56. Go ahead and flip over there. You don't have to turn us off. You can just put that TV on mute, just like I'm doing, because it's actually looking like a pretty good game. I was watching a little bit earlier. It's been back and forth. So, 49 Miami, 56 San Antonio. But
I
let me
mean, it's
just give
been
you a couple.
pretty up and down playoffs this year. So well, hopefully a good finals.
Yeah, we're hoping for a 7-game finals. And now let me just run down a couple of the storylines going on in this year's finals. Number one, for the Spurs side, they're looking for revenge because they lost last year to the Miami Heat in the finals. And you have a year of maturation for the younger players on the Spurs who really, really resent that loss. And then you have the veteran players on the Spurs who are just like, we don't like losing in the finals. We're going to come back and whoop you. So looking for that. Tim Duncan is going for his 5th title this year. That'll put him up in the likes of some of the greatest players ever. And you know what? He kind of deserves to be up there with the level of play he's had throughout his career. It's just been phenomenal. And I like the Spurs. I like them a lot more than the Heat right now, and that's just because I think that they're a franchise who does it the right way. Everybody wishes they had a franchise like this. I mean, they build through the draft. They don't go out and buy these free agents up. Sometimes they supplement a free agent or two in there, but almost all of their players are through the draft. Tim Duncan, they drafted him. Tony Parker, they drafted him. Manu Ginobili, they drafted him. Not Boris Diaw, I'm sorry. They didn't draft him. Kawhi Leonard, they drafted him. Danny Green, they drafted him. I mean, these are players that they brought in because they liked them as a piece. And when you have a coach like Greg Popovich who just somehow magically sees where all the pieces should fall, I mean, you're doing it the right way. I mean, I wish I had a franchise like this.
And I think people appreciate that kind of dedication to really building the team. I saw a billboard today in favor of the Spurs, obviously, that was saying, NBA Finals built versus bought.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Spurs up there, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference where you look at what the Heat have done. Yes, they drafted Dwayne Wade, and I think Udonis Haslem, and I'm pretty sure that maybe Chalmers. Okay, like I can count 3 people that they drafted on this team. So there might be more, but they're not the ones getting the playing time. They bought LeBron James. They bought Chris Bosh. They bought Ray Allen. They bought Chris Anderson. They bought Shane Battier. They bought all these other pieces, Rashard Lewis, that are helping them win this championship. Now, I'm not saying that that's a horrible way to go about doing it because obviously it's worked for them. They are in the championship game for the 4th time in a row. They're going for the 3rd straight title. So obviously something's working there. It's just you always like to see the more organic, the more homegrown way of winning basketball games. And I think that helps you win for a longer period of time. Because once LeBron James gets tired of winning championships in Miami, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, he could just say, you know what, Arnold, I'm going back to Cleveland because that's my hometown. I'll win something there. Or, hey, I'd like to play New York. Or, hey, I'd like to play in L.A., and you could see him just go anywhere.
If
but
Cleveland
you would never
take him back at this point.
Yeah, Cleveland would trust me, Cleveland would take him back. Cleveland will take anybody that they can get, trust me.
I guess Cleveland doesn't have much else, so.
Yeah, they got nothing. Sorry, Cleveland. I feel like we've hated on Cleveland a lot in this show, and it's not intentional. It's just, sorry, Cleveland.
Cleveland, we feel for you. As a city, we feel for you. You've watched your sports, though. You've watched it long enough, okay? You know the situation's going on.
Yeah, you know better than us what happens in Cleveland with their sports teams. not so good. But yeah, so you never know what's going to happen there. But another storyline from the Heat would actually be D Wade's resurgence. He was hurt for about 30 games this year. Didn't really seem like he fully recovered towards the end of the year and the first couple rounds of the playoffs, but really with the Pacers series, he kind of took back off. And if you see D Wade play at the high level that we're all accustomed to him playing, and LeBron James playing at the same level, and Chris Bosh, I can tell you already from the first couple minutes of the game, looked like he was on point. So you see those three stars really stepping up. There's not much you can do, unfortunately. But, the Spurs have three good stars of their own, so again, that's what we're looking forward to. Just a really, really good series. Hopefully it'll go 7 games. And let me give you a couple matchups to really look at throughout the series. And you'll really see the tide of the series go back and forth with these matchups. And the number one matchup, and this is going to be the most important one in the entire finals matchup, is going to be Kawhi Leonard versus LeBron James. Now, Kawhi Leonard was kind of the guy that they drafted to be that elite defender, to be that shutdown guy. This is the guy we're going to put on your best player every single time, no matter what, and we need you to defend and beat, the greatest. And, he got matched up against Kevin Durant last series, and now he's getting on James. So he hasn't had 2 easy tests in a row. I mean, it's been pretty rough for him, because we all know Kevin Durant is the best player this year.
Yeah, and he got knocked out.
Yeah, somehow. So that just gives credit to Kawhi Leonard. But that's not me saying that LeBron James will get shut down by him, because LeBron James is still LeBron James. Any given night, he can be the best player in the world. So, and most nights he is.
I thought Kevin Durant was the best player in the world.
I said any given night, not every night. Kevin Durant is every night.
How could he be any night?
Because it works.
I don't think your math works out there, Brian.
Do not question my logic. Kevin Durant is the best ever, all time, this year, next year, last year, in the future 5 years. Yeah, I love Kevin Durant. I'm sorry to see you go, but so sad. Tear came to mind. But yeah, so watch Kawhi Leonard play LeBron James. You jerk, Kawhi. You knocked Durant out last time. You jerk. But yeah, all right. So the next matchup is not really a matchup one-on-one. It's just kind of an overall matchup that you should watch, and that is the Heat bench versus the Spurs bench. Now, in the game 6, I believe.
Just watch the benches, by the way. Don't
the
watch
benches.
The game. On the benches, while they're sitting there, watch it.
While the players, when you see their reactions, you'll know how the game is going. No. But like with the Spurs, you saw their bench in game 6 of the Thunder series. They came out and scored something like 51 points or something crazy like that. Manu Ginobili comes off the bench. Boris Diaw comes off the bench. Mario Barinelli comes off the bench. Sometimes Danny Green comes off the bench. So their bench can be pretty explosive. Now, they've shown that they're a lot better at home than they are on the road, so that is something to watch. But you look at the Heat bench, they're equally stacked. You have players like Birdman, Chris Anderson, great defensive player. You have Shane Battier. You have Ray Allen coming off the bench. So another set of guys who can defend and score. So we're really going to see the series boil down to, the stars are going to show up. Duncan and Parker are going to show up. Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh are going to show up. But if those benches show up, I bet you're going to see whoever has more bench scoring in each game is the team that wins each game. So check it out. Look it up. But yeah.
Now, can you actually score from the bench? Can you sit on the bench and just score?
That would be cool. They should give you 4 points if you score from sitting on the bench. You should be like,
you went out of bounds, but just whatever.
If you jump and land into a seat before your feet touch the ground, then you're allowed 1 out of bounds shot worth 4 points.
It's like the dribble rule. If you shoot at that point, you don't get called for traveling. If you sit and shoot at the point that you're sitting on the bench, you don't get called for being out of bounds.
So NBA, if you'd like to send us a check for giving you such a great idea for your sport, go ahead and hit us up at Words to My Face on Twitter, wordstomyface@gmail.com, Google+, and of course, comments down below. But with that brilliant idea, I think that's gonna end the show for tonight.
What?
We leave you on a high with brilliance, and then we make you go low because we're down. Sorry. But did you want to outro us with our theme song? Awesome theme song. Thank you, Tuesday Night Special. We love you guys.
Yeah, we finally have it just playing here too.
We can actually hear
you
it
guys been
at the same
waiting
time
for a
you
while,
hear it.
haven't you?
Yeah. We hear it at the same time you hear it, which is new. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not going to outro us.
Maybe.
Maybe. Da, 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 da. We do like our song, and we do like our long hair. All right, I'm dizzy. Is the song still going? Whew. That's a lot of headbanging. We probably won't do that every week. Pow! And now my hair is officially messed up. But thank you all for listening, and we'll see you on Monday. And I gotta find the stop button. Hold on. Haven't found it. Found it!